So you want to transform your business. That's great. But where do you even begin? I mean, it's a question that stops so many companies right in their tracks. Everyone's talking about it, but the starting line, it's kind of lost in the fog. Well, today we're going to find it. Okay, first things first, let's just admit it. The sheer amount of advice and tech out there, it's a lot. It is completely overwhelming. I like to call it the transformation overload. You hear it all the time, right? In every meeting, every article, every single sales pitch. It's always, you need more AI, you need more automation, you need better data. It sounds like the only way to move forward. But that just brings you right back to the real question, the one that stops everything cold. With all this amazing stuff out there, where is the actual, hands-on, day one starting point? Well, that's exactly what we're going to pin down right now. And that brings us to the biggest trap in this whole game, a mistake that, I'm not kidding, costs companies millions and millions of dollars. So let's debunk this thing. And here it is, plain and simple. The single biggest mistake you can possibly make is starting this whole journey by picking a new piece of software. I know it feels like you're doing something, it feels productive, but honestly, it's completely backwards. Just look at these two paths. On the left, that's the trap. You start with the tech, you get dazzled by all the features, and you just hope it fixes a problem you haven't even defined yet. And that, well, that usually ends badly. But on the right, that's where you want to be. You start by understanding the work itself. You focus on the real problems, the real process, and that is the only way you get change that actually, works. So if technology is not the answer, at least not at the start, then what is? Well, the answer is actually really simple. It's super powerful, and it's already sitting right there in your business. You just have to find your true north by starting with the work. And when I say the work, what am I really talking about? I'm not talking about some high-level strategy document. Nope. I'm talking about the real, on-the-ground, what are people actually doing tasks? The emails, the phone calls, the double-checking, the data entry. That is where the gold is. That's where you have to look. And this is the big aha moment. Real, lasting transformation doesn't start in a fancy software demo. It starts by just watching and understanding what your people are really doing all day and finding all the little points of friction. So how do you find it? How do you spot that waste? Once you start focusing on the actual work, you'll start to see these hidden problems everywhere. A great way to start is just to ask your team, hey, what's that one thing you do every single day that feels like a robot should be doing it? Trust me, their answers will point you right to the problems. Here are a few classic examples you'll probably recognize. So think about your planning teams. How much of their day is just spent on the phone, chasing down drivers, just trying to get a simple ETA? That is so much time and energy just to get one piece of basic information. Or what about your ops teams? Are they constantly in firefighter mode, just reacting to delays, reacting to problems as they pop up? Or can they actually see what's coming down the pipeline and get ahead of it? That constant reaction cycle, that's a huge source of waste. Oh, and this one's a biggie. Picture your compliance folks just buried under mountains of paperwork, doing manual check after manual check after manual check. Yeah, the work has to get done, but is that really the most efficient way to do it? And finally, one that probably hits home for everybody, finance. Seriously, how much time do they spend fixing invoices, redoing reports, and cleaning up data that was just entered wrong somewhere else? It's a huge, frustrating time sink. So all of those things we just talked about, chasing drivers, fighting fires, manual checks, fixing data, they all boil down to these three things right here. These are your real targets. So forget all the buzzwords for a minute and just focus on this. What's manual, what's repeated over and over, and where's time just being thrown away? Now, here's the best part. When you go after these small, specific problems, you get this amazing flywheel effect going. You build some serious momentum with every single small win. And the benefits? They're immediate. They're real. You're not buying software features. You're buying back time. You automate that annoying manual task, and boom, less admin. You connect that broken process, and suddenly, you have better visibility. And when your team isn't wasting time on all that stuff, they can make smarter decisions faster. And this tells the whole story, right? That first little win you get in Q1, it might not feel like you've changed the world, but it proves it can be done. And that makes your next project in Q2 way easier to get off the ground. By the time you get to Q3, you're not just fixing little things anymore. You're actually building a culture of improvement, and that impact just starts to skyrocket. Okay, so we figured out the where. The starting point is not the technology, it's the work. So the next logical question is how? Right. You know where to focus now. But how do you actually go about finding and documenting all these manual, repetitive, time wasting tasks? How do you map the work in a way that builds a rock solid case for making a change? Well, that is exactly what we're going to break down in our next explainer.